Short Rest with Fonzi and Carlo.
September. Ay, well,
All
di na
right.
pala it's no longer September. It's actually
October.
it's October is about to finish too. So
Yeah. For
oh
about
how time has passed.
for about 24 days now. It's been October. So hey guys, welcome to the I don't know what episode this is already.
We're at episode 15, bud.
What? 15.
Yeah, it's been
Fantastic.
15 weeks since our first short rest, and we've been doing this regularly, and it's been fun. But yeah, I'm just surprised that we're doing this consistently. I wish
Mhm.
I was this consistent when it came to my workouts. And yeah, it's been really fun. I
It
just released
has.
the Hello Kali. That's
Yeah, it's good.
she'll be our official mascot for
She's
short rest.
crying. She's
Oh,
crying.
why?
So I don't know. She's bored. So yeah,
She's crying.
she's
Hmm,
been awesome. Callie's been awesome. And so have
of course.
the community. Who we've been growing ever so slowly, but we're
Yeah.
grateful to have reached 15 episodes with you guys, and really looking forward to more episodes. Hopefully, 15 more, and then
Yes.
another 15.
Yep. It's just in 15s. Just batches of 15s.
Yeah, 15s for now. So yeah, speaking of 15,
Okay.
plus 5
Oh,
is 20.
I was I was waiting for the transition. How is he gonna handle this? But yeah, 20, right? That's a natural 20.
That's a
But no,
natural
anyway,
20. And our
yeah.
topic for this week's episode of the short rest is we're going to be talking about your D&D tools that you can use online, specifically
Yeah.
things surrounding Roll20 and how to make your campaigns a little bit better on that
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah. But before we move towards talking about these different tools, let's do a quick check-in. Um, the the week's been fraught with social encounters and particularly heavy. Let's call it work encounters because they're not technically combat encounters
Mm-hmm.
unless you're talking with a client or something. But yeah, so let's do a little check-in. Let's roll some hit dice, and this is something that we do on a weekly basis because it makes us mentally healthier, I guess. How are you, Fonzie? Go roll some hit dice.
Yeah, well, this week has been relatively frustrating
Mm-hmm.
because of our internet situation and the lack
Ah, yeah.
thereof. So it's been about 20, 48 hours since the
Uh-huh.
disconnection. I'm happy though that we have our internet back,
Okay,
and
that's
we've
good.
been. I have this whole thread of like I use my Twitter primarily to complain at our ISP, and how I do so, I don't rant specifically, but I just tend to just tweet very like professionally and stuff like that, right? Until I noticed that there are a few tweets that get their attention and my tweets weren't
Okay.
getting attention enough. So I noticed that the tweets that get attention usually involve people using expletives.
Okay.
So one tweet I said like ano ba kailangan kong gawin para mag-reply kayo? Kailangan ba magmura? Testingan natin, punyeta at Skyson. And then a few hours later they replied.
Oh, he said a bad word. Might as well. He's pissed.
So I
Yeah.
managed to that customer isn't using enough expletives, so his case might not be very urgent. So oh god, he
Yeah.
used punyeta.
No. He
Has
used that
classified
word.
into a red classification, which brings him up to I don't
Yep.
know how,
The
how you
priority list.
I don't know how you do it, Sky Serves, but seriously, guys, you need to step up. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a problem of most telcos here in the Philippines. If I can remember correctly, our last episode was somehow hit by by an internet connection problem. Then I think it was also Sky. So
Yes, it
we had
was.
a time skip a little bit if you noticed in that episode.
I changed my
But yeah.
shirt.
Whoa. And like it didn't even take a nanosecond. But yeah, that was that's something that a lot of Filipinos right now, especially in a pandemics, no, in the with the
Mhm.
pandemic situation, everyone is
Mhm.
like, I mean, para everyone needs to have their connection steady at the very least.
That is
So yeah, no, it's a problem that these telcos need to to fix or to rectify. But yeah, I'm glad you got it back, and
yeah.
sana later in tonight's game
Yeah,
you
we have a
don't
game
lose it.
tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How about
So,
you, Carlo? Like, what's
um,
been going on?
more of the no, more of the same. I think my workouts are starting to be more routine now. Um, I am slowly starting to um I'm already able to will myself into a heavy, quote unquote, a heavy workout, unlike before where I okay, I'm not in the mood, quote unquote, so I'll do a small relatively light workout, just so to comply with the whole I just need to do something. And I think that semblance of regularity helped me push forward to willing myself into those heavy workouts, like 20-kilometer bike rides for the week, indoor ones at least, and then at least performing circuits every day. Yeah, the light workouts are usually the yoga oriented ones. So yeah, I've been more regular with that. Work wise, it's not terrible, but yeah, it's still the same, and yeah, it's relatively that. It's just really establishing a routine for me,
Yeah.
and I think it's been very effective so far, and I feel like it's also helped. I'm not sure actually if it's a chicken and the egg analysis. Did this short rest podcast where we have to regularly talk about D&D help, or is it the other way around? Are we doing this because we're more routine with how we do things these days? So yeah, I'm pretty grateful for those, and yeah, it's been very I also met up with some friends. Got to catch up a little bit individually, not as a group. So it feels good. Like I posted a few days ago that I wanted to become One Punch Man strong again if I ever was, and yeah, I think I got my rhythm back. That's what I'm trying to say, and it's been a good week.
It's good to
Right.
hear. It's good to
It's
hear.
been so good. I decided to, hey, you guys wanna have a campaign? Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
Finally, you're DMing.
Yeah. After a year, I think. Anyway,
Yeah. And in your DM prep, you've been using what platform for the entire thing?
I am right now. I've been using Map Tools. It's an open. I'm not sure if it's something that you call open source, but it's a program that you download. And as far as my 1 hour prep has afforded me, I can only make maps, and there are a lot of packs that you can download, free packs, which is important. They have to be free, that allow you to create objects within these maps, etc. Allow that, yeah, basically digital versions of miniatures. Map tools has been very helpful in that. There are also token tools. They've been very helpful in creating good-looking tokens for your characters. The reason I chose map tools is because while Roll20 is definitely one of the top tools in um, dungeon mastering or hosting a game, I prefer map tools just for something different. So yeah, and so far it's been relatively okay. And yeah, it's fairly, quote unquote, easy to use, question mark. I mean, I'm an hour into it, and I just figure out background object and token layers. But yeah, so far it's good.
I see. I haven't used map
Yeah.
tools, but I have used Roll20 and Foundry.
Mhm.
Which in terms of like the general DM prep, Roll20 seemed to be one that requires a lot of man hours in terms of like
Mhm.
setting everything up because everything's so manually done and
Mhm.
not very intuitive. Uh, but however, once you get that done, you're set. You don't have
Yeah.
to redo everything else and stuff like that, and it really adds to the quality of the game in terms of like setting up your map slides and setting up your like your pages and stuff like that, and your like your landing page, your map page, your battles, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
What's and also like what's also difficult for Roll20 are like just the introduction of new players into the platform because it takes like maybe like a 40-minute to an hour learning curve just to be able to
Yeah.
understand everything is relating to your your character sheet. Once you get
Mhm.
that done, though, it's fairly easy to
Yeah.
navigate through like combat and stuff like that, and roles and yeah, I would say like I've ran a few games on Roll20 already enough to satisfy that D&D itch that you would have because my
Yeah.
first game was actually on if not like if I remember correctly, my first game on AL was done on Roll20,
Mm.
and it was relatively it's fun just to be able to role play in that sense, but of course it's a very different experience once you get to like an over the table kind of like interaction and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something. It's definitely an experience in itself, I would say,
Yeah.
and it just depends on like the things that your DM can introduce to your experience and how the DM uses the tools native to Roll20
Yeah.
and other platforms that can enhance the gaming experience. Yeah, but in terms of prep, like have what are the difficulties or what are the pros and cons for Roll20 for you specifically, as compared to map tools?
I've now that I think about it, I've been using Roll20 as a player and as a DM for since 2016. So that's like 4 years of that platform.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely when I was new to it, I had difficulty getting used to, how should I say this? I practically started in role playing Dungeons and Dragons with Roll20. So I guess it's not so difficult. We just need someone to show you the ropes. Like while it's possible for you to self study it's helpful that it has guides online that can help you use it. No difficulties, but as a DM, that's where things got the difficulty levels changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some, but I guess it's how you use Roll20. But at the time there were a lot of I had a lot of my experience with Roll20 as a DM was a little it was very like there are a lot of features that I did not know exist that you could do, and I'm like, oh, so there's a fog of war option where the players see only the things that they see. Okay, and I'm like, oh yeah, fog of war exists. So yeah, but but yeah, in general, in if you're a player, it's relatively easy. But when you're a DM, and especially if you want to like provide a really stellar experience with the platform, you're gonna have to read up a lot on it. At least from my perspective.
Yeah.
Like but yeah, yeah, yeah. How about you, Fonzie? What's your experience?
With Roll20, it's relatively easy for the DM to look behind the players and to see the stats and stuff, things that you conventionally you won't be able to do in over the table games.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's really like while Roll20 rolling mechanism is relatively fair, question mark,
It's
Um,
transparent.
yeah, it's transparent
No.
also. Like for DM, you can also opt not to be transparent, but
Uh-huh.
just adds to that kind of like, especially for AL games where you would want some transparency from your DM. So, but in terms of like roles, in terms of like actions and interaction, it's just different from actually holding dice in your hand and rolling it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's relatively like it's a relatively something, an experience that you can what's the word, kind of like oversee, or something that you could just forgive. It's
Yeah, be
forgivable.
let go. Yes,
Yeah,
forgivable.
so it's relatively fun just to be able to not have to spend so much time adding your dice and just seeing the, oh, it's damage like that. Just hover over the number to get to see the modifiers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that makes for what you would assume for faster game time, but
Yeah.
that's not relatively how, or does not really mean like when you like play games on Roll20, it's relatively faster. In my
Mm.
experience, it's a lot games are a lot slower on Roll20. um,
Yeah.
um, Particularly because of the map dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
and how combat is very structured, and
Mm.
sometimes even it kind of rubs off on the rest of the adventure.
Yeah.
And 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 for me to add, like, some have you experienced uh like the difference between over the table games and Roll20 games like that, to be,
Um,
what do you
I
think?
haven't I haven't been to any AL conventions. That much is that much is the truth. But I have played some. I have played over the table ones, in person once. But when we did combat, we didn't have miniatures. So it was all
Theater of the Mind.
theater of the mind, yeah. But there were there were measurements of distance. So yeah, you're about 20 feet away from that tool. What do you do? I scoot over it. So yeah, there was theater of the mind, but the technicalities of combat was still there, and that's my only experience of a live combat encounter.
Yeah,
Right.
I think
Um.
I think Theater
Mhm,
of the Mind is really good. I can't
mhm.
do it. I can't do it relatively, just because um I don't have a very good like photographic memory, like just to be able to keep track of everything in my mind. It's
Yeah.
not something that I have, or I do, but I struggle at it, so I choose not
Mhm.
to um not to subject myself to that kind of torture, and instead
Yeah.
have visual representation. So
Yeah.
maps are
Visual
very
representation. Yeah.
maps are very important to me, but there are some combats that, like, relative, like, if you're just facing off with one creature, right,
Yeah.
and you don't really need to see the entire map just to be able to do that. So there are
Yeah.
some, and I think it also goes down to your experience as a DM. The more you DM and the more you facilitate combat, the more you develop this kind of internal system that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
um so yeah, so if for me to just have like a visual representation of the battle at the very least, or at the very least, is very helpful, not just for the players, but for me in general, just to be
Yeah.
able to keep track of which monsters are alive and which are not, stuff like that.
Yeah. I'd like a very important thing that I think I've always insisted on when it comes to games would be immersion. If players, like, regardless of platform, right? If the players aren't immersed, like, you might have the most stunning graphics in your table, or whether it's live or online, or you may have the most illustrious looking miniatures. If the players aren't immersed,
Mhm.
that's gonna affect the gameplay and effectively any of the other players' experience, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, so far for Roll20, I've never really lost. I mean, in terms of in terms of immersing myself into the game, that should largely depend on who I'm playing with talaga. Like if in Roll20 the platform itself doesn't take away from the immersion. It's really just the other players that I'm playing with. At
Mm-hmm.
least that much I can say. Tapos ano, yeah, that syempre, magkaiba yung playing live and playing online, but we're focusing on the online ones mostly because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
Um,
you're
Go ahead.
saying.
Yeah, so your turn.
So yeah, and in terms of like the pandemic, like I know that the Davao AL group has been running games not just on Roll20 but also like using Discord only, an honor system using Discord, similar to the games that I run, but I use Zoom.
Mhm.
I used to use Discord also,
Yeah,
and before we transitioned to Zoom, but with the same sense of us still using maps and stuff and multiple cameras, and so has been really been I think successful in terms of this
mm,
just being able to run games, although I haven't been running as much AL games as I used to, but I
mhm.
hope to be able to do that maybe later this next week or something, maybe run a public game and stuff, and the stuff that I've run with you guys, and the AL games that I've run with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
and the challenge always is, especially for playing with people you don't necessarily know well or have played for the first time with, or general with AL public games, is the exact thing that you mentioned, which is immersion.
yeah.
Because with Roll20, it can be a little bit, it can tend to the immersion part is very is very reliant on the DM to be able to really bring out and a, a, a solid kind of like introduction of the game, and run combat fairly smoothly and stuff like that, and have a very clear voice and stuff like that on. So there are things that the DMs, in terms of tools, that they are able to really give advantage in terms of like establishing that immersion for the players. Like for you, in that sense, like for you, what are the most important things that DMs should have in terms of like prep for the game, that they should focus on to make the game a little bit more immersive?
I'd like to think that when it comes to playing games with other people, um, like of course you particularly need to have this preparation ready. Like you need the monsters, the story, some semblance of what the world is like. If it's a homebrew, if it's Adventures League, the rules of the season at the time, and syempre a knowledge of the module or the hardcover that you're running, right? But I'd like to think that it's not just the DMs, it's also the players. It's like a relationship in that, if you want to make something work, it's not just you who's going to do the prepping. It should also be the players. At least from my experience, I've had the most fun DMing with players who are very highly engaged versus those who are like in it for, I don't know, the experience or the items that you get after the module. So yeah.
Mhm.
Hello, Kali. She's so clingy.
That she is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree. And like, what does engagement look like for you in terms of like seeing players engaged or highly engaged in the game? Like, what does that look like for you?
That what that looks like for me is that they actively ask me what the scenery is like. They ask me questions that are within context. Say you guys were I'll use another example. That's one of my story beats for later. Say you guys were given this specific mission. They start asking who's the contact, how much are we getting for this, how long till we get there, what do we need to do to get there. So parang that for me is a sign that they're engaged and
Mm.
they're not rushing through another scene, so to speak. Like you guys were sent from a mission, from a tavern, for instance, or you guys were given a bounty, and you have to make your way to the you have to make your way to another village. To me, what an active or an immersed or an engaged player would be like, how do we get there? How long can we get? Do we get there? Do we have to be on foot? Do we have to be on horseback? Right? So parang ganon.
Yeah.
Ano, an unengaged player would be like, okay, so we get there. Now what? So just do it. It's like someone rushing through. And honestly, while I know I can be impatient sometimes, parang if I had a DM na that would work for the story that he's providing us, I will ask some details. I will ask some questions. And I feel like um this kind of how should I say this? This kind of process of getting there isn't effectively communicated by tools like Roll20 alone, right? Roll20 serves its purpose, but not in the storytelling sense.
Mhm.
So yeah, yun, that's what I feel is an engaged audience
Yeah.
or an engaged player.
And as a DM, like what part of the game do you enjoy the most?
That differs depending on the DM. Pero if you'll ask me, I enjoy the combat most.
Mm.
But I like I- as a DM, yeah, I understand that a lot of other players have different tastes when it comes to the game, di ba? Some people like the RP, so I try my best to balance it.
Mm. That's true. I do like you played a lot of games
Hmm.
already with me, so I guess you have a notion that I enjoy RP.
Yeah, yeah. So I like in your games, I've been I've taken my RP to a level. I've leveled up my RP, and I'm saying that because I like put a lot of effort in trying to be in character, and it's not just a mere voice change. It's how would this character act, parang ganun. So if you'll notice, di ba? Most of I don't want to say most of the hindi. I'd like to think that all of us sa tabletop titos have equal in the spotlight. In terms of RP. Pero yeah, I've been practicing a lot on that then. Kasi
Yeah,
it feels good eh.
yeah, and I enjoy RP relatively because it's part of that creative and world building process, I
Yeah.
guess. That and like what makes DMing very boring for me is that you just follow the module from start to the end.
Yeah.
So and kind of like gets a bit like it feels like a transaction just happened between you and the players, and just a formality. Okay, we go through. I read the text box, and
Yeah.
you see, is there anything you'd like to do? No DM. Okay, we would like to go
Right?
in.
I was gonna say that's we are slowly. Well, I am. I feel like I am going into that method where I want to rant against the Adventurers League.
Well,
Pero I
yeah,
don't want to go there.
like it's understandable like how the number of modules these players play in a set, in a set in a week would spoil them in that sense that they wouldn't take the time to just stop and smell the flowers and
Yeah.
and look at the world around them and what they see and how the DMs understand and the DMs portray the game.
Mm-mm.
And like it goes into like a level of immersion, right? And the things that we've been saying about some players in the Adventures League, not all, but there are some who just are in it for character building
Mm-mm.
rather than adventuring, because being
Yeah.
an adventurer means what to them, right? It's for some of them as players, and there's nothing wrong with this. They just want the best for their characters,
Mm-mm.
so they make their characters a little
Like
bit
how some parents like the best for their children,
yeah. So
but I'm not gonna get into that.
yeah, for like like we all played games differently.
Mm-hmm.
Some do it just, just to become stronger, and that's what's fun for them. And that's
Mm-hmm.
well and good until you encounter an NPC or a story beat in the module itself that requires you some RP, or if not, you're all gonna die.
Yeah.
So there are some dynamics like that. Like I don't and I try I try my best to add elements like that in my games, like make the game a little bit more dependent on interaction and
Mm-hmm.
world interaction, which is something that is a challenge for a DM, but it's really relatively like what makes it makes it a lot more fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of like, and there are just some days where, okay, you go inside the dungeon and then let's roll for initiative and stuff like that.
Yeah. Hit
There,
stuff. Oh.
there are some modules that are like right off the bat that, okay, there's no way in hell that I can add my own flavor into this. This
Yeah.
is a dungeon dive in its purest form, so let's uh just enjoy battle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What I enjoy most, also like during combat, is that I enjoy the turn of the tide in terms of like the adventure, seeing um, from a very hopeless position that they start to um, recover, or they start to like turn the momentum in their own way, and they
Yeah. I
gain this certain sense of confidence again. It's
Taking
the,
control of the map, kumbaga.
yeah, it's the turn of the
But
tide.
sorry, I'm a little bit off tangent, but has our latest Strad episode been published na ba?
It has not.
Was that the first one?
It has not been published yet.
Oh, okay, okay, never mind. Those spoilers, no spoilers then. Never mind then. Yeah.
Yeah, you can talk about
So,
it.
oh
I'll let.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll talk about the experience, not necessarily how we got there. Para walang
Yeah, you can
spoilers.
talk about it. It's fine.
Okay.
Spoilers. Uh,
Are we ever gonna publish it? Because I want to publish it, sana.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we're looking to publish that maybe like early next week.
okay, okay, sige. Sorry about that. Yeah, so there was a point in the story that we had the upper hand, and there was this pack of wolves and wolfmen, question mark, because I don't know what they are. And then there was this like cocky little shit wolf that was that was like that was very dismissive of our presence, right? And in character, I was like, parang no, this wolf needs. I was playing my paladin at the time, my oath of devotion paladin, and who is obviously averse to all things evil and to all things that seek to destroy life itself. And yeah, after defeating a couple of its minions, quote unquote, they it started to walk away, and I was like, no, I'm not letting you get away. And I threw a light hammer at it, and it was at that point that, wait, did I mess this up? I literally questioned if it was the right decision, because we got decimated. Uh, if it weren't for a few clutch rolls, at one point I was at 0 HP and luckily rolled a natural 20 for a one HP save. Yeah, I didn't think we'd come out of that. I mean, I was genuinely thinking, no, this would be a TPK so much for first episode. And while with that's the kind of immersion I end up well, to like in the back of my mind is new character sheet. But at the time I was very anxious because this may or may not have been my fault, or like am I gonna get my team or my party killed because of me? So parang it's those levels of immersion that make me that parang contributes to both the RP sense and the combat sense. Right, you can genuinely RP while you're still in combat, and yun, I don't think my paladin will ever, or I think that my paladin will change forever because of that.
Yeah. Like there are moments in Strad, especially like that those like in any story, right? That sometimes like you said it perfectly that you can RP during combat. Some combat situations, especially with other DMs, see combat as a different plane of existence. Like it doesn't exist; it exists outside the story, which isn't necessarily the case. That the actions that you do inside combat will affect your character as you know as you build this character, or as like as it affects the NPCs around you, even the world around you.
Mhm.
Like there is one specific combat tier one that the that this player character decided that after combat to eat said victims. So he decided to
Okay.
eat the people around
Corpse.
the corpses. Yeah.
Okay.
And once they returned to town with hostages and stuff like that, the hostages said that this character started to eat
The corpses.
the corpses of the enemies, which is something that Baldur's Gate frowns upon. So
Yeah.
he was they were kind of like they were in the middle of a trial, and this was brought to light, and then effectively that character is banned from Baldur's Gate
Mhm. At
because of
least from your table,
atro-
no.
uh, at, because of the atrocities that he did. Yeah,
Was there any practical reason for him, for the said player to do this,
he
or
said that
was he just
he said that he was a cannibal and stuff, and he was hungry. So okay, so I allowed him to do it in combat and stuff like that.
was
Was
he
it?
human? Sorry, I need to ask.
I think no, he wasn't human. I think he was a serpent or Yuan-Ti or something. I'm not sure.
Okay. Not sure if that's in their culture, but okay.
So that happened, and then he was relatively, he was not. He was, yeah, effectively was retired from my games. So he won't be able to be joining my Baldur's Gate in season 9 games
Mm-mm.
anytime soon. So at least not that character.
Mm-mm.
So he like after that game, he said he wanted to join another game of mine, and I just said to him like, you better be bringing another character because
Mm-mm.
that character is no longer allowed. Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. Um,
So it's just that like there are repercussions to the decisions you make in combat. Like
Mm-mm.
classic case is you throwing that uh stone to whatever it was towards
The
that
light
wolf who
hammer.
was walking away already.
Yeah.
So you don't have to fight everything that walks, or you don't have to finish combat or anything. But it was relatively I think it was the choice that you, as a party, it was the choice that you had to make for you guys to be able to understand that
The
this is
gravity.
Yeah, and this is Barovia. And
Yeah, man. I was going to say, we were like, oh, this is that kind of game. This is that type of game. Okay, then. Let's just pull our
and
punches a little bit sometimes.
it's difficult for you guys to be able to like um revel in your strength,
Perceived victories.
yeah, in your victories in Barovia, because you're in Barovia.
Yeah.
This is you haven't met him yet? Question mark. But this is Strad's Vanzalovich's land. You are in his land. He is Barovia, so it'll be interesting for you guys to learn that, that lesson along the way
Hmm.
as you
Yeah.
arrive in Valaki, the town of Valaki.
Yeah,
So that
we did make it there, na, no? We did make
well,
the
you were
trip.
outside the gates,
Oh, okay.
outside the
That was
gates.
so close. Anyway, yeah. So back to the topic for which is yung tools. Yeah, that's that's I don't I mean it's possible to have this level of immersion when it comes to that to tools like that, but it's going to require some level of work, particularly when it comes to your relationship with your players, I guess. Right, we need to make sure that we're all immersed and invested in the story, para so in the most in the simplest way, I'll say it in the simplest way, so that they don't get bored, quote unquote, enough to open another tab and look at other things. Diba? So that's one challenge that I thought was inherent with Roll20 and online games, right? It's in a browser and it's so easy to just open another tab and look at something while the narrator or sorry, while the dungeon master narrates the progression of your story, right? Which is why when it comes to my how should I say this, when it comes to my campaigns, or when it comes to the games that I play with tabletop titos, I prefer yung ganito na face to face. That's why we shifted to Zoom, right?
Mm.
Yeah, there are less distractions. Even in Discord nga, parang marami pa ring distractions, eh, no?
Yeah, Discord
More or
was
less.
fun. Discord was
Yeah.
fine for me. Like, in a sense that it was a lot less. The spotlight wasn't really on you.
Mm-hmm.
It was just really managing people's comfort level in terms of like facing the camera
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, because it's definitely different from over the table and face to face.
Yeah.
Being on camera takes a lot of getting used to, and like we're lucky to have people who relatively are comfortable being in front of the camera, like Lester. I
Yeah.
know Lester streams. um Nico and Luke, they're both teachers, and they do like online teaching and
Mm-hmm.
online classes and stuff like that. Gene, I'm not so sure, but he's pretty, he's pretty okay in terms of that. And Chikoy, I think Chikoy is the only one who doesn't really have that kind of like
Confidence level yet? Is it not confidence level,
not
more like
even not just that. It's just about being or using,
the
Zoom or
the
online
video
classes.
feature? But
Yeah.
why should I use the video feature? And
Yeah.
actually glad na nakikita ko sila now. Si Chikoy primarily.
Yeah. And Chikoy, just for you guys now, for you guys who are listening, he's new to D&D. Like his first few games were with us. I don't think, no, he wasn't able to join the Baldur's Gate group that we created with Luke and stuff like that. For them, and they started off with that. But I think with Chikoy, he just really wanted to. He was really into it. He loves the game. He enjoys it very much, and he's still learning,
Mhm.
like how to RP, how to like. But he is pretty well researched. Like he knows
Yeah.
how to use the Eldritch Knight now, which is really good. So stuff.
Yeah, man. That's such a cool character, you Eldritch Knight, by the way. Yeah.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. So in terms of like other games, what is do you feel like what are the advantages of Roll20 over other games for you?
Oh, how about Foundry? You've experienced Foundry. How similar is it, or how similar or how different is it to Roll20 and all the other available tools?
Foundry requires a certain level of mastery in terms of world building and everything
Mm-hmm.
else, which is something that I am still developing. But in terms of the overall aesthetic, it runs better than Roll20. Although it does require some manual like input in terms of like character monster tokens, because Roll20 has this database already, because they are
Yeah.
um, Foundry isn't, so you would have to input that manually. But in terms of like the overall experience, it looks a lot better than Roll20. It feels a lot better as well. Um, it's different in a sense that uh, there are certain things about DM prep, and specific things about DM prep, and the more time you spend on it, the better the experience gets.
Hmm.
Roll20 is pretty much like it is what it is. You can't really expound on it, but what is beneficial for Foundry, especially for those who really have a background in code or really have a background
Oh.
in stuff like that, they can really improve the quality of the game, in terms of like even adding effects, even adding triggers, adding certain like story beats, or even transitions that are
All
really
right.
fun.
So if
So
you know how to code, there are more options and
yeah,
more.
yeah. We'll be inviting someone over from from the Fort Seven, maybe hopefully like in the next coming weeks, to talk about like how they introduced Foundry in their own system, and what makes it what makes it a lot more a lot better as compared to Roll20. Admittedly, the moment that I bought Foundry, I got into that multi-camera setup that I was doing, so I never
Hmm.
really got into immersing myself into Foundry, so I wasn't
Yeah.
really able to run a game with Foundry yet. But we have this chat group. It's called the Foundry Support Group, and
Hmm.
we've been seeing a lot of like DMs enjoying the new features of Foundry, and their level of growth in terms of like new features, which is a lot more than the updates that we see on Roll20. So it has a very vibrant and dynamic support group, and it's
Hmm.
relatively young and has something to prove. So you would think that they would come out with these updates regularly, and
Yeah.
yeah. So in
Yeah.
terms of just that, it just looks better. It has a better aesthetic. It runs better on browser.
So
Um,
it's faster.
it's faster. It's young. It's stronger. It's younger and
I'm
stuff.
not roasting Roll20 by the
No,
way, but
roll.
it's
The only thing I feel like the thing that Roll20 in terms of like it still runs okay. Like you can still
yeah.
run relative games there, and it's still, but the thing about it is just it's just stuck on a certain level of of functionality and
Mm-mm.
flair that it lacks, but it has its own appeal, I guess, in terms of
Yeah.
just being a regular board. Doesn't have many features, but it does the trick in terms of and it has official D&D.
Yeah. Modules, right? And
That's
prepared
really
maps.
just the value added there, that you can buy modules and books of Roll20 and have them instantly in your game, and be have them optimized and stuff. That is very, very worth the headache in terms of like,
Yeah.
or the difference. I feel like that bridges the gap fairly well. But once Foundry has their own license to run games and stuff like that, I don't know. I'm not so sure about Roll20, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. You asked the question, what other games do we run on Roll20? I haven't really ran anything other than Dungeons and Dragons. But I think there are other role playing systems or games that you can use in that.
There
Yeah,
are.
so yeah, that's one really good thing about Roll20. Then it's not just D&D. They also have other they also support other role playing games. I'm
Yeah.
just not sure what they are because I
Yeah,
haven't checked.
I've been reeling to learning of new systems, because I've
Uh-huh.
been like I have a new I have a few friends who run Warhammer. I have a few friends who run different systems
Ooh,
and stuff like that. So
Warhammer.
it's really curious how, like, what the system is, because I've been really just exposed to Call of Cthulhu and Roll20, and
Uh,
sorry, oh, and Dungeons and Dragons, and not a lot of other systems available out there. So I'm
yeah.
just curious, like, how other systems can be and how difficult they can be. Like, once I get the time, maybe I can start reading.
Speaking of Call of Cthulhu, that I never mentioned to you by na so the order got lost,
Oh no.
and I got a refund, which is great because I got the refund. But I'm also kind of sad because that would have been a new book.
Yeah.
So yeah, Diwali, I'll try to look for another way to play. And you mentioned that Roll20 has Call of Cthulhu, because if that's the case, I might
Yeah.
be buying that module.
It does. I was just looking
Okay.
at my own. I have a free adventure from Call of Cthulhu in my Roll20 here.
Ooh.
So I don't know if it's still available, but if it is, it's there. You can probably look at it. It's
Yeah.
called The Lightless Beacon.
Ooh, okay.
It's a free one, and let me know if there are anything, because I'm looking at Call of Cthulhu as well. Like, I've been reeling to run a Call of Cthulhu game,
You're
but I have
you're s- Go ahead.
but I have no idea how to do it. I don't know the rules. I haven't read anything.
I'll
So
I'll run it one time. Then let's do
yeah,
it live. I'll
yeah,
run it and then
yeah. That's what I want, actually, for someone to run it so that I can
yeah.
play, so I can understand or have a sense of what it is to be like a player and stuff like that. And
Yeah, and this isn't like Call of Cthulhu isn't Dungeons and Dragons. You're the hero, right? This is Call of Cthulhu. The best thing you could do is is to run away from things. So I'm not sure. It's a no. It's a cosmic horror role playing game. So there's not much room for heroism, or is there? We don't know. Pero yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I'm actually looking through ngayon, through the Lightless Beacon. It is in the Roll20 marketplace, and that's what's cool pala about Roll20. Parang it has a marketplace where you can shop for these no, for these modules and for these games.
mhm.
It is a free module.
There you
The
go.
Lightless Beacon, yeah.
There you go. I haven't read it, so no spoilers for me. So that's fun. I just have it.
All right. Sige, I'll take this one. Thank you very much. Thank you for that, Fonzie.
No
So
worries.
let's run this when we can. Takto, since next week is since next week is gonna be spoopy Halloween week, I guess. We can run it, hopefully. But yeah,
Mm.
cool. Wait lang, I have it na. And they also have the starters. All right, sorry for that transition. But I was also kind of advertising Roll20's
No,
marketplace.
well, I was saying, right, that
Uh,
like Roll20, like Season 9, Adventures League, Roll20 is complete up to episode 20. So that's crazy. For $5, it's the
for
same.
$5?
For five
Wow.
dollars, no, that's per adventure. It's $5.
Per
It's
adventure pala,
so
okay.
that's really really awesome. That's really awesome. So yeah,
Yeah, that's so good, man. Anyway,
yeah.
uh,
So I was saying, like, that's the best bit about Roll20 is just the availability of
they
these,
have the available.
and
I
it's
don't think
awesome.
Foundry has that yet, no?
No,
Yeah.
no. And it's awesome if you buy one. Everything will be complete, like the maps and stuff will be complete and optimized. The characters, the monsters, you don't have to like add them manually and stuff like that. It's worth
Yeah.
$5 because you get to keep it. But then
Yeah.
again, it's $5, so
It's a no, it's something definitely that you should look into. But at the end of the day, tools are tools.
yeah.
They're only as good as you use them. That sounded vaguely wrong, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not wrong. just sounded vaguely weird. But yeah, these are tools. At the end of the day, if you want a stellar player experience,
Mm.
you're gonna have to no, you're gonna have to work for it. That also sounded vaguely weird. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, you're it's something that you and your players have to have a clear have, if you guys like you need to be, how should I say this, you need to work it out with your players if you all want to be really immersed and really have fun with your campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Tools will just help you facilitate encounters, help make things easier for you to imagine, I guess, in terms of combat.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some slides to give some slides to give you an idea of what a certain NPC looks like. But as far as is concerned, it's all about the imagination. It's all about living in that in that shared space with your friends in this created world you guys make.
That's true.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, anything else you'd like to talk about before we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add other than yeah, we'll be publishing some of our games then. I'll be DMing and we'll be releasing a VOD of it next week as well. So it's gonna be a homebrew because I'm not very particular with Adventures League these days. So yeah, I know we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I think that's really about it, Fonzie. I
Right.
guess to wrap this up, how would you wrap this up?
Hey, where
Man, my
can
yeah.
where can they find you?
Oh, okay.
Socials.
I thought you had some parting message for regarding the
I
tools
don't.
and stuff. Eh.
Well, okay. Parting message. Like, I would just say that regardless of what tool is available on the market, explore new things and always support like creators and stuff like that, and people like that. You don't have to play on Roll20 if you don't want to. And if you find it like not up to, or you don't enjoy it, you don't have to, play on it. There are other tools and there are other means as well. Like, we've been running games on Discord, on Zoom, just to be able to run games on. But there are other ways and means to be able to do that. Like, I've ran a game of text only,
Ah, yeah,
so that's
you did.
interesting. So yeah, so it just depends on what you guys feel like are the best ones for you. So I would always go towards that and go with what you're comfortable with in terms of like what you're running. You wouldn't want to be outside your element,
Yeah, definitely.
like me and Foundry. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
mhm.
yeah. Anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah. I
Foundry?
think we've wrapped this episode up with a neat little bow. Where can they find you, Fonzie?
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, although be warned that I rant on Twitter. You can find me
Twitter.
at Fonzitoot, Fonzitoot. I also have a Facebook page called Activate Leadership. It's a coaching page. So check us out there. And also you can find us on Tabletop Titos on Facebook and YouTube. It's Tabletop Titos. Yeah, just slash
Yeah,
Tabletop
yeah,
Titos.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
How about your no? How about Activate Leadership?
Yeah, you
You
can find it on Facebook and on Spotify as well. We upload regular content there, and we have a podcast. So check that out.
yeah. All right. And you can find me in Carlo Geeks Out. We're having some server issues, so the Carlo Geeks Out .com website is undergoing some repairs, maintenance rather, not repairs. It's not broken. Yeah. You can find just do a quick search of Carlo Geeks Out in Instagram, Facebook, and in YouTube, and you can find us there. This episode of Short Rest will be in the YouTube channel, and you can also find us in Spotify. Follow us there, guys, so we can so you guys can listen to us as you drive towards wherever it is you're driving to or something. Yeah. Guys, if you have any questions or any suggestions on topics that we can talk about, or if you want to do us to do anything for, let us know. That was
Yeah.
weird. If you guys want to know, if you guys have any questions, or if you want that, if you want us if you want us to shout out your guild, or your any D&D tool that you're developing, let us know.
Mm.
We'll definitely promote it, lalo na if it's locally made.
Yeah. So yeah. So see you
Yeah.
guys. Thanks for stopping by. Have an awesome week. And
Yes.
catch us soon. We'll be uploading new games this week on Tabletop Titos. So check that out. Bye.
Bye, guys.
A short rest with Fonzi and Carlo.